I'm headed over to a friend's house to help him replace his pedestal sink with a new vanity and sink. I mean, how hard can it be? Right?
Who said you need brains to be a plumber?
This is the sink we're going to pull out. And this is the vanity combo we're putting in. A vanity combo consists of a cabinet and a sink. Everything else you're going to have to purchase separately, such as the faucet, unless you plan on using the same faucet. First, shut off the hot and cold water to the sink. Loosen the nut and disconnect the drain stopper. When removing the hot and cold water feed lines, have a rag or small container handy to catch the residual water in the lines. Relieve the pressure and more water will drain out. With a large crescent wrench, remove the large PVC nut counterclockwise direction. The sink is fastened to the wall with 2 screws. Remove them. Other than that, the only thing holding the sink on the wall is the dried paint. There should be nothing else holding the sink to the wall, so this can now be pulled away and lifted out. Remember, there's still water in the trap in the PVC pipes. You can drain it into a bucket. I'll inspect and clean the original PVC pipes and reuse what I can. While here, we might as well clean some gook out of the water drain line. It's also a good idea to clean the walls and floor while the space is empty.
Springtime fresh, winter white. What could be better?
Now we have some things to consider before installing the cabinet. The baseboard is going to get in the way of the back of the cabinet when it sits flush against the wall. The easiest thing to do is cut out the baseboard section the width of the cabinet. To do this, the best method is to use a multi-function tool. The old drain has a rubber washer, which I can use on the new drain. The new drain didn't come with one, but it mentioned in the instructions to use some plumber's putty. Make sure the part of the drain with this nut on it faces the back or towards the wall. Tighten it so the thick rubber washer forms a tight seal so that you can't turn the pipe by hand. But don't over tighten it, you can crack the threaded nut or the pipe. If the drain line isn't perfectly centered, you are able to adjust the pipes a couple inches off center. Make careful measurements for the height of the drain and the length of your pipe, and be sure everything lines up and is the appropriate length. We ended up needing to replace 2 pipes because the new sink was taller and it stuck out farther from the wall. The cabinet should sit flat against the wall. When pushing it against the wall, if the front bottom lifts up, well, you're going to have a couple of options to fix this issue. The hard method is to modify the cabinet by cutting it down or sanding it. The easy method is just to use some tapered shims. We went with easy. Put 2 screws through the back and into the wall, and that'll keep the cabinet from moving around. It's best if you can locate the studs. If not, wall anchors will suffice. Don't drill in the center of the cabinet above the drain or the water valves. You may think you hit a stud, but in actuality, it just might be a water pipe. This is where you have to get a little fiddly with the pipes. It takes some time to get everything cut and fit properly. I snug everything by hand until I know that it fits perfectly. Then I'll crank them all down using a crescent wrench. If you do over tighten it, that may strip the threads. If you under tighten it, you might get a leak. Either way, you'll know. Under the sink, it's a good idea to run a bead of caulk. This is going to help keep the sink in place as well as help keep water from dripping in and damaging the press board. The faucet installation is simple. This is a pretty common faucet installation. However, other brands will vary. Read and follow the instructions that come with your faucet, or if you're like me, Just wing it and use the instructions in case of an emergency. Put the stopper in with the cutout facing the back. Now insert the lift rod. Don't tighten the nut much more than hand tight, or the lift rod won't go up and down freely. Getting this connection rod adjusted correctly is going to take a little experimenting. Just try one spot and you'll end up making several adjustments along the way. These hose connections to the valve don't require any Teflon tape. There's a rubber washer inside and this forms a watertight seal. Your faucet may be different. Now with all our connections tight, we turn on the water and give it a test. In just a few hours, mission accomplished.